Hi, I'm Professor Mark Habeeb, and I will be teaching a workshop course in the fall called International Negotiation. The purpose of this course is to learn to think about negotiations, international negotiations, in an analytical way. And what I mean by that is it's an exercise in assessing all of the various factors that affect and determine the outcome of international negotiations so that you'll be able to look at and observe an ongoing international negotiation and have a good understanding about what's happening in that process. It is not a how-to course. It's not a course on how to win a negotiation or how to bargain effectively with your boss or your spouse or anything like that. But I like to think that if you have a good analytical ability, if you learn how to think about negotiations analytically, you will be a better negotiator if you find yourself in a situation where you're actually involved in a negotiation. Why is negotiation important? Why is it important to study negotiation? Well, basically because all international interaction, if it's not war, it's negotiation. So there's far more negotiation going on in the world at any given moment at all levels than there is outright conflict. So it's very important to understand the dynamics of negotiation. In this course, we will focus principally on diplomatic negotiation, interstate negotiations, or negotiations between a state and a powerful non-state actor. But a lot of what we talk about could also apply to international business negotiations. But essentially, the reason it's important to develop some understanding of the negotiation process is because anyone who goes into the field of international affairs, whether it be in business or nonprofit or certainly government diplomatic corps, will discover that a lot of what you're doing is negotiating. I have a varied background in international negotiation. My academic concentration was international negotiation. I did my dissertation at our competitor school, SAIS, under Bill Zartman, who is in many ways the father of the subfield of international relations that focuses on international negotiation. So I did my dissertation with Bill Zartman. I've written and done scholarly academic work on negotiation. I've also been a consultant in several instances to entities that have been involved in negotiations. I was a consultant to the foreign ministries of the three Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, following their breakaway from the Soviet Union, negotiations that they were having at the time with what was remaining of the Soviet Union in terms of establishing their status. I have been a consultant at the United Nations, where I have run seminars and workshops for new diplomats coming to the UN on how to negotiate in the UN context. In 1999 to 2000, I was a consultant to the Negotiation Affairs Unit of the Palestinian Authority prior to the negotiations between the Palestinians and Israel at Camp David. I've also done some consulting with international organizations related to trade negotiations, most specifically towards free trade negotiations between the United States and various countries in the Middle East. I have taught this course here in MSFS for 14 years, and every year I change it somewhat. New material that comes to my attention, or different cases that we'll look at, because it's very important that we stay current and look at negotiations that are currently affecting the international arena. This year we're changing it in yet another way, because for the first time it will be taught as a workshop course. And it's always had some components of a workshop element to it, specifically a simulation, a semester-long simulation in which the students play specific roles in a negotiation between two fictional countries. It's a fictional negotiation because some simulations you actually play the roles of existing countries, but my feeling is that then people may feel that they have to act a certain way, act the way they think a certain country or nation might act. So in our situation, it's a fictional international conflict between two made-up countries. And it lasts for most of the semester. We have negotiating sessions over several class periods. But essentially the way the course is structured is we do look at some theory of international negotiation, theory of the negotiation process, theory of how power works in negotiation, theory of the role of culture and identity in international negotiation. And it's very important to look at the theory because that gives us a grounding. That's what allows us to compare different negotiations between different countries and different issues, but it gives us some kind of benchmark so that each case isn't just a kind of random event of diplomatic history, but rather it gives us a kind of analytical tool that we can look at. In terms of the structure of the course, in addition to looking at the theoretical material and having lively discussions over that, we do the simulation. We look at case studies. Usually I do 3 or 4 case studies per semester. These are historical case studies, not ongoing negotiations, because I want to look at cases where we know what the outcome is, so we can assess how that outcome was reached. And the case studies are often done via class presentations, groups of students, 3 or 4 students doing a presentation on a case study. We do a lot of discussion in class. I always reserve some time to talk about ongoing negotiations, whether it's the U.S.-Iranian negotiations, the Israeli-Palestinian talks, the Japanese-Chinese conflict, which has a negotiation element to it. So we always look at ongoing negotiations and try to apply the theoretical concepts to these cases. And then finally, the grade assessment will be based on class participation, which includes the simulation and the class presentations and just the general discussion. This is a seminar, it's not a lecture course. There is a midterm, which is usually several questions, take-home midterm, several questions to test your analytical ability about a current negotiation, about a current ongoing negotiation that is in the news. And then there's a very brief final policy paper in which I want you to apply your skills, the skills you will have developed in analyzing negotiations, to a current ongoing international negotiation. So that's what the assessment is like. And there's no surprises, no pop tests, no final exam. And I like to have a situation where we work with each other as the term goes on so that we can help each other with the individual projects that we're working on in our individual papers. So a very cooperative approach to working and learning together. If you'd like more information on the course or if you have any questions, my past syllabuses are posted online, as is a course description. There will be some small changes to the course, and a new syllabus will be posted sometimes over the summer probably, but you can get a good idea from the past syllabuses. Or feel free to send me an email, wmh7@georgetown.edu.